Welcome back for another edition of NC Sports Weekly News. World-class sailors meet in Lorient for the Semaine Olympique Française in a special report by senior correspondent Sébastien Destremont. Down in the roaring 40s and deep in the South Atlantic for Leg 3 of the Clipper race from Rio de Janeiro to Cape Town. Kayaten claims his first ASP career win at the Ripcurl Pro Portugal. With Parco out of the numbers and Slater bumped out early, Mick Fanning keeps his momentum for the world title. As Gary Hunt banks on a comfortable lead to the Cliff Diving World Series, it's down to the wire. Next stop, Thailand. NC Sports exclusive online interview with new kitesurfing sensation Francisco Lufinha after his huge 305 nautical mile long distance record. NC Sports, plunge into the action. World-class sailors on the long haul towards Rio 2016 met in La Rochelle for the yearly classic at the Semaine Olympique Française. All the action, the results, and the highlights on this NC Sports special report by senior correspondent Sébastien Destremont.
With 4 teams able to secure the title, the most anticipated medal race is one of the Nacra class. Camas and Turquem prevail, Iker Martinez and Besson Ryu complete the podium. In the 470 men, the battle is an all-French affair. Le Boucher, Le Vert and the youngsters Bouvette Millon are match racing right from the start. Pierre and Nicolas take a tiny advantage and hold it to the finish. Hardly surprised victory for Manu Dien and Stéphane Christidis in 49ers, and Sarah Steyart and Julie Bossard in 49er FX. These 2 teams have dominated the series. In the laser radial, the victory of the young Marie Barou was, however, less predictable. Several foreign teams take the Semaine Olympique Française title in the like of Polish Miska in the RSX men and Klepaka in the RSX women's. In the Finn class, Briton Giles Scott demonstrates that the Arthur Hensley is safe. In laser, the event is won by Rutger van Schnadenberg, while the Austrian pair Vadlo Ogar take the 470 female title.
As we close this weekly news edition, Olympic sailing hopefuls are now ending their World Championship event in Qingdao, China, before hopping down under to Melbourne, Australia in early December. For all results, updates, and analysis, just link in to the NC Sports team. Leg 3 of the Clipper Around the World race was off to a great start from the Rio 2016 Olympic sailing venue, Marina da Gloria, and the 12 teams of this 2013-2014 edition are now headed southeast for the 3,390 nautical mile Atlantic crossing to the South African port of Cape Town. Following its evocative start on the River Thames in downtown London, the regatta first hit the French shores of Brest across the English Channel, and then set off for Leg 2 across the Atlantic Ocean. PSP Logistics, Qingdao, and Henry Lloyd teams are currently leading the scoreboard in a very long race that is due to finish after 8 legs back in Great Britain by July 2014. With over 10 days at sea, the fleet is now down in the roaring 40s and well over the halfway mark, jostling with a wide South Atlantic high-pressure system. Furthest to the north, Jamaica Get All Right and Qingdao now trail Team Garmin and PSP Logistics, respectively in first and second place. On a southerly option, Great Britain and in West Africa have found their wind and moved up to third and fourth. Brainchild of sailing legend Sir Robin Knox-Johnston, one of a handful of pioneers in single-handed offshore racing, the Clipper Race retraces the trade routes of the 18th and 19th century tall ships, and is now the longest regatta of its kind for non-professional crews. Aussie K. Otten 33 did away with the top-seeded on the 1.5-meter break at Super Tubos to grab his first career event win on the ASP World Championship Tour. In a spectacular shape at the Ripcurl Pro Portugal presented by Moche, the goofy footer first subdued Hawaiian John Florence in the qualifying rounds. Kai then went on to beat two fellow Australian superstars, current world number one Mick Fanning in a very tight quarterfinal, and again reigning world champion Joel Parkinson in the semis. It all came down to the last battle against Nat Young, and in a close 12.23 to 11.03 final, Otten made the best of the few surfable waves. With his victory in Portugal and thanks to consistent placements in the last 4 ASP events, Otten now moves up to number 7 on the World Tour rankings.
I felt in rhythm with this place all week, even though the conditions were tough. I got through scrappy heats, I won some good heats and some good scores, and yeah, that wave just came to me at the start in the first 30 seconds, so I was pretty lucky. I think it'll sink in a bit later, but yeah, overwhelming. That's all I can describe it as, and kind of, it's a bit, I guess the word surreal, everyone says that. It's kind of like you're in the moment now and you're really happy, but you're also kind of just baffled it actually happened, especially when it's your first win. So, yeah.
Pushing back South African Jordy Smith and Aussie Josh Kerr in the semis to take his second place here in Super Tubos, 22-year-old Nat Young reconfirmed a huge season and is now ranked 9th in the world. An overall performance which has also crowned the American ASP Rookie of the Year 2013.
Yeah, it's been a good day for sure. You know, to come that close is always a little heartbreaking when you don't get it. But you know, after everything's over, I mean, second place is amazing, and Rookie of the Year is icing on the cake, so I couldn't ask for more.
Things are really heating up at the top of the ASP Tour, and as expected, the Ripcurl Pro in Portugal would be a decider for the World Championship. With just one event left on the calendar, this has become a two-way race. The math has already put 2012 King Joel Parkinson out of contention for first place, and the numbers do not favor yet another surfing legend, as world number 2, Kelly Slater, comes to terms with early elimination and a costly 25th place here in Super Tubos. The American is now the only challenger to the coming of Mick Fanning's new reign. Yet it's a tall order even for Slater, who is now forced to win the last season event at the Billabong Pipe Masters in Maui, and also hope for a poor finish by Fanning.
The other contenders have to win. There's no ifs or buts about it. So press assured it swings back on them. And you know, if I can make a semi and if I can make a semi and make some more results, then it's done and dusted. So we had a good leg. You know, had a good run in this 6 weeks. So yeah, going to go home, regroup, and you know, recharge batteries, and hopefully go in Hawaii all guns blazing.
The World Series is reaching its final showdown as top-ranked cliff divers are aiming at the last stopover, taking place this weekend in Krabi Province, Thailand. Expectations were dampened in Brazil's Niterói as foul weather and high waves damaged the platform, canceled the proceedings, and froze the scores on the overall leaderboard. Briton Gary Hunt continues to hang on to his 120-point lead. But all bets are on as top athletes on the Red Bull cliff diving circuit are poised for battle. "25 athletes representing over a dozen nations have been fighting for top positions in this 2013 season. The moment of truth will play out on Hong Island in the Andaman Sea. Russia's Artem Silchenko in second place and Colombian Orlando Duque in third will certainly pull out their best sequences in the grueling 6-day competition with multiple dives nearing 90 kilometers per hour from a 27-meter platform. Aside from style and difficulty, a trademark of this sport, endurance, will definitely be a factor. Silchenko needs to win or place a second ahead of Hunt to take his first championship crown. The Thai event on the majestic cliffs of Krabi will not only be the decider for this world title and the final 2013 ranking list. This final will also become selective, since the top 8 in the world will automatically qualify for the 2014 season. The full report on this spectacular finale on the next edition of NC Sports Weekly News. Whoever said that it couldn't be done? Following his extraordinary 305 nautical mile distance record, Portuguese pro kitesurfer Francisco Lufinha joins the NC Sports Room for an exclusive online interview from his home base in Lisboa. The idea, the preparation, the challenges, and the moment of truth. Here are just a few excerpts from next week's edition of Top Story and the complete rendition of his new Sailing Guinness World Record. Hello, Francisco, and welcome to NC Sports. 30 years old, athlete and engineer, you are an experienced offshore sailor and a champion pro freestyler there in your home country. How did you come up with such an extreme idea?
I always imagined, well, I think I can do the Portuguese coast kiting. It's always windy, so day and night I got really windy nights on the boat, so I thought this can be possible. I started asking people, other kite surfers, other sailors, and I really didn't got the best answers I was looking for. So a lot of people was a bit skeptical, and but I thought, yes, I'm gonna try it out.
The previous record was just under 200 nautical miles. You were 28 hours and 53 minutes in the water and even slept on your board for a bit. What were the biggest challenges when facing this huge attempt?
It was kind of difficult, the part of the record, psychologically, because there was no wind. The night was the most windy part. It was really good in the Roca Cape, so the most westerly point of Europe. It was really, really windy and gusty. So we were between 30 and 40 knots wind, and I was with a 13-meter kite. And on a kite, you cannot reef. I took the kite for the lighter winds, but in the stronger winds, grab on, grab on and go. As the sun was rising, the wind was getting lighter, and it got to an extreme that the kite fell down. And imagine my expression when I looked at the GPS and it was saying you did 197 miles, and the record was 199. And when the wind got a bit more stronger, I was able to kite. And then after some minutes, I passed the record. It was really, really awesome.
You didn't simply pass it, you went on for another 100 miles, from Lisbon all the way down south to Lagos. You're probably already on the next objective. Now that you have broken the 300 nautical mile barrier, what do you think is the limit for a kitesurfing long distance record?
You can do the whole world, right? It's just the question of places to start and to finish to back you up. And actually, you have a serious problem with the support boat, because while I can go everywhere sailing and kiting with the wind, you always need a backup boat because you cannot take all the food with you, and the water especially. you drink a lot of water. And the boat needs to refill with fuel, so that's the main issue.
A new offshore kitesurfing frontier has now been breached. Stay tuned to NC Sports and next week's edition of Top Story for the full take on Francisco Lufinha and his exclusive recap of this incredible long-distance adventure. Plunge into the action with NC Sports.